We wanted to just tap into your expertise on not only quarterback play, but I think you have a really good feel for what defenses are doing and coverages and all that stuff. So the Steelers beating the Patriots last week and how they did it, I think, is an interesting topic. You know?
Yeah, no, I think that, the Steelers, we've seen them play such the same style for such a long time, and I think them changing it up was the biggest story last week. We saw them kind of be the aggressor instead of just sitting back, and they're so used to playing those spot drop zones, and then when they do play match coverages, they end up with linebackers on receivers and in bad spots. But last week they said, hey, we're going to bracket their two best players. So they had a bracket on Gronk a bunch of times in key situations, and then they mixed up the other bracket, whether it was being on Josh Gordon or Julian Edelman. So I think the aggressiveness coverage-wise was a big story of that game, and then they were moving around a ton, mixing up the looks. Tom Brady, never really had a good beat on what they were doing, so it was nice to see them be the aggressor coverage-wise and kind of mix some things up.
This felt like the Steelers for a few years have been trying to get over this Everest of the Patriots, and they've tried a whole bunch of different things, game plans every game. This felt like the game where they just went, what happens if we try all of them in the same game?
Right.
Like, none of these have worked on their own. All of them, the Patriots just run through. What happens if we try all of them at the same time?
Yeah, and they've tried playing man-to-man, and it hasn't gone well. Right. And they've tried to say, let's soften up and let's play cover 3 spot drop. Everybody get to our zone. And you're right, it just has not gone well. So seeing them kind of go to almost a New England style of bracket, because last year you saw that game when they did play cover 1, sometimes the safety was leaned to the hat. They had Brandon Cooks, but that the seams are going to Gronk down the seam, especially late in that game. And so just the kind of the awareness, like, all right, hey, we got to take these guys out, especially some of these key third downs and key situations. So it was a good plan. You don't typically see the Steelers just change it up that much.
I remember you saying in last year's game they tried to play man, which on paper sounds very simple, but when you're a team like New England that plays a ton of man coverage, you have experience with, okay, if you have an empty formation, here's how we adjust, or if you have a tight formation, here's how we adjust. The Steelers tried to play man, and they didn't have the experience to adjust to all of New England's formations last year. So did they do a better job of those types of adjustments and knowing, because it's knowing what your safeties are doing, like you're saying, are they leaning, are they bracketing, how are they adjusting to formations? Was that one of the big key differences?
Yeah, I think so. And they didn't have a ton of just pure man-to-man snaps. They tried to eliminate those. I think it was just a few third down and shorts. So they said, hey, we're going to have an in-and-out bracket on the 2 best guys, and they made it as simple as possible. Wherever Gronk was, they were going to have a guy on the outside, and then the next guy was funneling. The safety was going to funnel inside. Same thing with Josh Gordon and Julian Edelman. And so they always had an answer for the quick strikes on some of those Edelman routes underneath. They had a bracket there, and then nobody else was really able to separate. I think that was another big story is the rest of the team covered well when they did try to go to some of those other guys. So it was, overall it was a good plan.
I don't know how many teams have had to face Tom Brady and then Drew Brees in back-to-back weeks, but you've got, that's what the Steelers are doing right now. So a great game plan against New England and Brady. What's going on with the Saints offense? How do the Steelers attack them? Obviously, Drew Brees hasn't been the same quarterback, or at least the results haven't been the same over these last few weeks. What have you seen on film for this Saints passing attack?
Yeah, they've just been, I think, they're so used to dictating everything with all the formations and the stuff that they do that teams were kind of like, I think Dallas was very physical, and they're saying, hey, let's play a bunch of man-to-man. Let's get up in these guys' face, make them a little bit uncomfortable. And I think that was a big thing. The Steelers don't quite have the personnel to just match up man-to-man. So I do think you can use a blueprint that you use against the Patriots. We've seen a bunch of teams treat Michael Thomas with that double mentality, and even Alvin Kamara coming out of the backfield with that same double mentality. You take those 2 guys, you make Traquan Smith, some of these other guys win. So I think the blueprint of just getting up in their face, playing a little bit more press, not sitting back and just letting them, have at it, and definitely just picking your spots with all that. The first down, early down play actions, playing a little softer cover too, I think has been a big thing that we saw the Cowboys do as well.
You said something to me the other day too. The Steelers did stuff that they didn't do all season. So how rare is it for a team that usually they do what they do, the Steelers, how rare is it for a team, in weeks 15 and 16 to kind of completely change things up?
Yeah, it's very rare. I mean, you kind of are what you are, and I think that's when you have so much data from the whole season. You've seen how you've played, and you see, what teams have struggled with is really when the chess matches begin. And if you have the guts to do it and say, all right, we got to change something here. Offenses are too advantageous what they're doing. We got to make them uncomfortable. We got to move around a little bit. So I think that's been, if you're a defense, you think we got to do something. We can't just do what we've done. And if a quarterback comes up, he knows what the coverage is. He knows where to go with the ball pre-snap. It's game over, especially with these veteran guys.
So Steve obviously loves your X's and O's breakdowns. This idea you can come in, tell him all the coverages, tell him what was happening. My favorite thing you do, though, is start talking about, guys' personalities and how guys are reacting to things. So how do you think the dynamic works in Pittsburgh when you've got Antonio Brown getting a bunch of crappy passes thrown his way, getting really pissed off on the sideline, and then Ben Roethlisberger blaming anybody but Ben Roethlisberger for these passes? When they get to a meeting room, how do you think that goes during the week?
That's a tough one. I mean, I think it kind of, with those two guys, it seems like they're going to be frustrated, but then when they come face to face, it's like, hey man, right. we'll get on the same page. But then, on the sideline when Ben's not looking, he might kind of throw a tantrum. So it is an interesting dynamic because both guys obviously highly competitive.
Right.
Brown wants the ball every single snap. He's probably open. He's probably telling him he's open every single snap. So, but I don't know if there's much, face-to-face interaction where they're like, you got to give me the ball, blah, blah. It's more kind of when they're not looking.
It's like, school friends trash talking each other behind their backs. As soon as they get face-to-face, everything's cool. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's weird, though, because those two guys have had this incredible connection for years. And when Brown has gone off the boil, it's because Roethlisberger's got hurt and Landry Jones comes in. Landry Jones can't find Antonio Brown. But for the first time ever, it's been Roethlisberger unable to hit him. Him and Juju have this great connection this year. But for whatever reason, he just can't get the ball to Antonio Brown as much as usual. And he still got 13 touchdowns or whatever it is. So it's not like it's a crisis or anything.
Right. The early season stuff especially, they were just not on the same page. Right. And sometimes is Brown trying to do too much on a route and Ben's expecting this. And then other times Ben's just flat out missing. He hasn't been that accurate all season. So, definitely a combination of those guys just not being on the same page.
That's what I wanted to ask you about is Roethlisberger's season. I'm just looking at, so he's number 16 in PFF grades, 78 overall. He's been a top 5 to 8 quarterback for the last 3 or 4 years, pretty consistently. This is his worst grade since 2011. What have you seen? There's a ton of yellow, in PFF Elite early in the year. There's a couple blue games in there, dark greens. It's just been so inconsistent for Roethlisberger this year. What have you seen?
Yeah, the first 5 weeks, he was just making poor decisions. Like Sam and I even did a video just showing some of these plays that he was actually getting away with because statistically it looked good. And then, you get the week 5, I think, is when he came out and saying the similar story that we've heard with him is, maybe I don't have it anymore. That was last year, but he said some similar comments.
Last year he throws 5 picks against Jacksonville, and he's like, I'm ready to hang him up. And then he turned it around.
And then the Cincinnati game was a good game, but it's been the decision making all year long, especially under duress, just trying to do too much late in the play. That's his style, but he's forced more passes this year, and it's just been a common theme. Each week you're expecting him to have at least 2 throws a game where it's like this could be picked off or it could fall to the ground incomplete. So it's been definitely been up and down.
Yeah, 48.7 grade when under pressure compared to 86.4 with no pressure. Passer rating drops from 106 in a clean pocket to 58 when under pressure. So that backs up what you have seen. What about for picks? You're in our little pick list here, Zach. It looks like we're all taking.
I'm struggling this year. I think I'm second to last, but I got
listen to you.
I'm trying to. I'm in makeup mode right now, but I would say. Yeah, I got New Orleans. I think.
Who is last? Is it still Renner or is
Renner was down there for a while?
But Neil's been taking these crazy Maverick picks all season. He's got to be down there, right?
Some are working though. So he's taking Pittsburgh. He's
taking the Giants every single week.
Right.
That's been Neil's story.
Is he taking them again?
Let's find out where we are.
It's funny how much Neil hates Eli, yet he still picks the Giants every week. I don't know why. So we're all taking the Saints in this one. Any predictions as far as how it does play out? Do Breeze and the Saints passing attack, do they bounce back these last couple weeks in the Dome?
I think they get back on track. I think they kind of get back to dictating the tempo of the game and playing some more no huddle and kind of just getting back to their style. You mentioned you love the dome stuff.
I love the
indoor outdoor. And
Steve's got he's
okay.
Big,
Well,
he's big on indoor outdoor domes. He's big on weather. Big weather guy.
Is it a factor? Yes. There we go.
Yeah, but how big a factor is it?
How did Breeze look throwing the ball in Carolina on Monday night? He didn't grade poorly. He had a couple nice throws, had some bad luck, but the ball doesn't come out of his hand the same way, right?
No, I agree.
I don't have any trouble believing that it's a factor, just not as big a one as you want to make it out to be.
No, it's a huge factor.
Yeah.
It's a huge factor. Look at Matt Ryan. Look at the Matt Ryan. 55 grade outdoors.
So okay, Zach's ahead of Neil, and he's ahead of Renner.
Nice.
Quite a lot ahead of Renner, actually. In fact, almost everybody is quite a lot ahead of Renner. Cynthia Freeland isn't, though, as it happens.
Mike's not good at making picks.
Apparently not.
I mean,
he's 56.3% on the season.
So we're expecting the Saints to get back on track.